She's alive. Alive!
So you're back for the Harvard's headline.
I am.
Temporarily. I'm going to kick you out of the room.
I know,
yeah. No, I do. I when it comes to interviews, I'd like to get you involved eventually.
Like you said, it's just logistics.
Well, that time we interviewed Joe Lamb for the fetus, everything went
And we were
fucking
swinging our
crazy
microphone back and forth.
So we just decided to do Owen Llewellyn on my own. And that kind of way, that went fine, except then my video started to fuck up with me. So I think the last couple of seconds where it's just me talking, the picture is all over the place, but the talk is fine. Yeah. The audio is fine. And funny enough, speaking to the people at the RIP Man, Reese Thompson and Owen Llewellyn and all that stuff, it led to me doing another review, being contacted about doing another review for a movie called Beyond Mamushi.
What a movie.
Yeah,
I love
movie
that.
We were told was a ghost movie, and then ruined.
It is ghosty. That's because you're a man.
Holy shit, that was a heavy movie.
It was a heavy movie.
Heavy in a good way. It's a great movie, brilliant movie. That's the thing. I keep having to fucking say, like, you know, reiterate that when I say it's grim or it's hard.
This is in the best way possible, though.
Yeah, I always mean it in a really, really good way because it was an enjoyable movie. It was well made. It was really fucking... The whole thing was good start to finish. I have no complaints about anything I watched. Just that it is not a popcorn movie.
No.
It's very much a fucking... in your fucking face. Here is real life. You better
with
fucking...
good reason, though.
You need to learn.
Yeah.
Listen to us. Understand. And fuck me, did I understand.
Yes.
So what we're going to do this week is I am going to knock out my usual review here for Beyond Mamushi. And then we are going to jump on over and I am going to get to talk to M.W. Daniels, writer and director of Beyond Mamushi, and lead actor Corina Jayne, who plays Kate in the movie. And I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun interview.
I'm looking forward to listening to it, seeing as I'm not allowed to join.
Oh, we'll get you into the next one. You should have seen the way me and Owen Llewellyn fucking struggled to not step on each other talking. Can you imagine 4 of us all fucking talking on a Zoom at the same fucking time?
I'm good at not cutting people off.
I'm not. So tell us, what is Beyond Mamushi, Amy?
So when Kate Andrews' perfect life in her dream home implodes under her partner's sadistic psychological brutality and her medication-fueled hallucinations. Written and directed by M.W. Daniels and starring Corina Jayne, Gemma Thompson and Gary Cross.
So, Beyond Mamushi is not an easy watch, and that's precisely its strength. At just under an hour, it delivers one of the most emotionally punishing experiences I've had with an indie horror film in a long time, and I mean that with the highest of praise. This is a film that understands horror isn't always about monsters in the dark. Sometimes it's about living in a constant state of dread, confusion, and emotional whiplash. The story places us alongside Kate, a woman caught in an abusive relationship, and forces the audience to experience the reality that reality from the inside. There's no romanticizing, no softening of the edges. The fear here is persistent, exhausting, and deeply human. What makes the film especially effective is how it manipulates the viewer's own emotional responses. You don't just watch Kate's turmoil, you feel yourself pulled into it. Small gestures of kindness from her partner momentarily feel disarming, even comforting, before the film quietly reminds you that these moments don't erase the damage being done. That push and pull is unsettling in the best way, and it becomes an uncomfortably revealing exercise in understanding how cycles of abuse sustain themselves. As a male viewer, the film felt particularly confronting. It functions almost as a forced empathy machine, compelling you to see the perspective that is too often dismissed or misunderstood. It doesn't lecture or moralize, it simply presents the experience honestly and lets the discomfort do the work. Visually, the film is beautifully controlled, and the use of jump scares deserves mention. They're sparing, sharply timed, and deeply uncomfortable, never feeling cheap or excessive. When they land hard. I watched this woman jump out of her seat more times than I can count. Most impressive of all is the film's emotional honesty. It refuses easy catharsis or neat resolution, choosing instead to leave you with a lingering sense of unease that sticks long after the credits rolled. Beyond Mamushi is grim, challenging, and emotionally devastating. It's not horror as escapism, it's horror as confrontation. And it's all the more powerful for it. It's currently doing the rounds of film festivals, but it's definitely not one to sleep on when it does eventually get a wider release. So the doctor's orders are in, Freaks and Fiends. This is a must-see. Go check it out when you get the chance. What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. And it stayed, apart from like, you know, like how, like you said, grim it was, the actual, as in...
Don't mention anything from the ending.
I'm not going to. What do you think I
meant to say that for
the ingredients for a good ghosty movie are there. There's a certain thing that happens in the movie, like, you know, the scariest part for me, and the next day, and this was in broad daylight, I was washing my face, and obviously my eyes were closed because all the suds were over my eyes, and it was a panic to get to that towel to wipe off my eyes, because I felt...
See, I wonder, do men and women then get different views of this movie? Was the ghost element a bigger part for you than the abuse element? Where for me, I almost forget ghosts were involved in the fucking storyline, and I am completely caught up in the horror of what Kate is going
not
through.
Wanting to get into the whole kind of inequality between the sexes thing, but I think that for women, we're thought about it and we see it so much that it's not that it's a constant or anything like that, but you're very acutely aware of what can happen when you get into a relationship with something. I think everybody knows someone who's been through domestic violence and stuff like that. But I mean, for you as a man, I think it's slightly different because you're not brought up to understand this is what could happen to you if you're not careful, if you're not selective when you get older. So I think that's why it kind of sticks with the man viewing more so than the woman.
Real part that really sticks to me, and this is obviously I'm a Texas Chainsaw fan, so this will explain it, the dinner scene. When they're sitting
very
down,
uncomfortable.
anytime they're sitting at that dinner table, rather for the dinner scene or the birthday cake scene, that's when I really understood how the cycle of abuse can keep going, because when he was nice to her, I forgave him for a second and then suddenly would remember what it was. Like, we'll just say, for instance, this isn't a big spoiler, but she has a kite, he breaks the kite, and then later on gifts her a new kite, and you're thinking, oh, isn't that nice giving her a kite? And it's like, wait 1 minute, he's just replacing what he fucking broke.
But
being a
beyond
dickhead,
that, it's the manipulation that's behind that new kite. It's
to trick her back on his side, and it works, and you can see the cogs working in her brain.
That something's finally changing.
And I was feeling the same way, and then I'd have to remind myself of that doesn't make up for any of this. That makes up for nothing.
You see, the minute he broke that kite, that was me done with him for the full movie. I knew that there was no coming back from it.
This was only the start of this guy's downward spiral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas for me, it was like, it might just be having a bad day. Stupid thing to do.
What did I say? I think actually pretty close to the start of the movie, I was like, he's an abusive dickhead. And before anything ever really kind of kicked off, like, that's what I mean. I think as women, we know the warning signs.
Okay. Anyway, I'm going to get on this. Let's move it on over and talk to M.W. Daniels and Corina Jayne about Beyond Mamushi.
Enjoy.
And get some fucking answers. So, welcome, guys. First off, M.W. Daniels, I have a bone to pick with you. You messaged me a little over a week ago and asked me if I wanted to watch a new ghost movie, which is the equivalent of asking a convicted arsonist, here's a lighter, do you want to go and burn something? The answer is always going to be yes. What I got was definitely a ghost movie, but there's a big old monster stomping around that story that I was not mentally prepared for. So thanks for turning a pleasant night into a brutal learning experience with no warning at all. That being said, it's a beautiful piece of work. So brutal and honest. And like I said to you earlier, it feels like one that should be shown to every man so they can fully comprehend the real horror that goes with domestic abuse. That being said, for people just discovering Beyond Mamushi, how would each of you describe what kind of film this is and how badly it's about to mess with people? I always like to warn people early so they can't sue me later.
Does Corina want to go first, or? I'm really unprepared for these questions. Because I don't know. I think well, with some of the reviews we've had as well, like I think people are understanding sort of where we were going for it, and it's not. It is a horror, but it's more of it's quiet. It's really uncomfortable, and I think that's really what we were going for it. Like it feels uneasy more than like suddenly terrifying. It's like it is. We were going for that kind of angle, and I think it's worked.
Oh, 100%. I mean, as soon as we finished watching it, because I'm a man and I wanted to make sure I had seen the right thing, I turned to my partner, Amy, and I was like, okay, unless I pick this up completely fucking wrong, this is all domestic abuse, right? This is like hardcore horror domestic abuse is what I'm picking up here. And she was like, no, you got it. It seems like you got it. But I mean, you play it beautifully. I mean, you could see the cogs in your brain working when your partner's being nice to you at times, and then you're kind of like, you're forgiving him slightly and I'm forgiving him slightly, and then suddenly I'm like, what the fuck are we forgiving this guy for? He's an asshole. Jesus Christ.
Oh, he's nice, really. No.
For example, at the start of the movie, he breaks your kite, and then near the end of the movie, he gifts you a kite. And then I kind of reminded myself, like, he's not gifting her a kite. He's giving her back the thing he already broke. This isn't him doing a nice thing. This is him just replacing something he already fucked up.
Exactly. And she'd just forgive him and do it all over again.
But that's it, watching the cogs in your brain work and watching you go from like borderline homicidal to, maybe there's some good in him. It kind of taught me about how cycles of abuse can work, how this can kind of, you can be caught off guard by someone's niceness and suddenly forgive them for these much bigger, indiscretions that they've been performing throughout the whole movie,
Yeah, and with her characters, like, she completely relies on him and loves him, so she needs him as well. So it's not something she's willing to give up easily, especially in the state she's in.
And did it mess with you making it? Or was there a delayed reaction, like food poisoning? Did it hit you later? Like, was it like, Jesus Christ, that was heavy?
No, it was okay, actually. It was, I think, because in between takes, there's a lot of stupidness, and it's completely fine. It's only when we're filming that it's like, this is really serious now. But in between, it's not like it stayed that kind of tone. Sort of in between. It was all eating biscuits and taking the piss out of Martin, really.
Martin, where did this thing start for you? Was it a specific image, a fear, a bad thought you probably should have ignored, or one of those ideas that arrived already holding the knife? Because the best horrors always start with, I shouldn't be thinking this.
It was because I think because a lot of friends have gone through domestic abuse. And I was in a situation 26 years ago with a friend, with an ex-boyfriend. Won't go into any detail, but that was scary. That kind of, what for a better word, inspired me to write something that disgusts me, something that I never wanted to write, never wanted to go near, and that was one of the things I'd tick off and say, I never want to write about that subject. But I did, I had to get it out of my system, and I had to face it. And my idea with the film is, it's not for the audience to have a good time. It is to drag the audience through the mud and show them what's in Kate's mind. So they are Kate, they feel like Kate. They feel like what Kate's going through for the whole film. Other than watching Kate going through stuff and feeling sorry for her and walking away from the film and thinking, that's really a sad film. I wanted more than that. I wanted the viewer to invest in Kate's mind, in what she's going through. So that they're really in the screen, they're in the film with her. And that's what I wanted. So when everybody says it's claustrophobic and it's a difficult watch, then it's doing its job. So people are realizing, that it's a hard kind of job.
It was mission
Yeah, yeah,
accomplished. That's exactly
yeah,
how I felt after watching it. It wasn't something
yeah.
I'm going to get up and forget about 10 minutes later. I felt like I was looking through Kate's eyes the entire movie. I felt everything she was feeling, and I did
Yeah,
not like it. Not one little bit. I felt
yeah, because
comfortable from start to finish.
it's a story of revenge as well. It's like Kate's power, even though, I'm not going to give anything away, but there is some revenge of hers in there. It is a lot. It's a powerful film, but she's a victim in the film, and we feel that. We feel her pain, and that's the whole point of the film. It's almost difficult for someone to wear a T-shirt of the film because it sort of defeats the object. Because it's not really about that. It's not about a glitzy gala, and it's not about all that. This film's so raw and
Oh, yeah.
upsetting. But it's almost like a self-help film in odd sort of ways, and it brings the point home about domestic violence, psychological domestic violence, whether it's kind of physical or psychological, it hammers the point home. And I wanted people to know that. But yeah, but no, so many people that have said so many things about what they've been through, and it's so upsetting. And obviously, what I went through with somebody else, yeah, that kind of, thinking about that. And it's not something you ever forget. It's something that you move on with life, but it's something that is there, So that, yeah, that definitely was something I needed to write about.
No, no, you did a really good job. Like I said, mission accomplished. This all really stuck between the two of you, between Corina's acting and your story. Just it blew me away. I was really caught off guard by the whole thing. And at what
Yeah.
point did you realize this wasn't going to be a polite indie horror and was instead going to be emotionally bullying everybody else involved? I mean, there's always that one day where the vibes go from art to survival. I mean, when
Yeah.
did you realize that? Or was that the
Yeah,
mission going in? You knew day one, this is going to be a fucking heavy hitter.
It did take
Yeah,
a few times,
yeah.
didn't it? How many versions was there of that script?
About 16. There was a lot. There was a lot, but it's just when you first write a film, when I first write a film, I don't think of it as dark. I don't think of it as disturbing. I don't think of any of these things. I just write what's in my mind and it comes out like that. Other people put these labels on, whether it's dark or it's disturbing or it's grim, and that's fair enough. But I don't think any of those things, like the previous film was a dark comedy, but still, I knew it was comedy, but I wasn't thinking that while I was writing it. I was sort of just going through this journey, writing it. So for me, it's a film's a film, I suppose, in that way. But maybe that's because I'm quite desensitized by watching horror over decades and all these films. But this film, I know it might sound pretentious, but it transcends horror, not just because of the subject matter, just because of the way it's played, the way Karina plays Kate is like ultra real, So it's not like she's gone beyond acting. She's going into another realm in my mind. So, and it just makes you feel like you're a fly on the wall, like you're there in the room with her. And I think that's really important because a lesser actor could have played this role and just completely fucked it up, because it would have been just acting out all that stuff on the page where Karina's taken that and taken it further, and she's invested so much time and effort into putting herself into it. And it shows, all the reviews, and everybody, bigging her up. It shows, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, no one else could have played that role, and that's just my opinion.
Oh, it was really well done. Really enjoyed it. The film feels controlled but feral. So, how clear was the tone in your head before shooting, and how much of it evolved once reality started kicking the door in? Because reality is the worst executive producer.
Yeah, the whole thing feels just real from start to finish. There's nothing, everything feels like that when I write. I don't really write from a fantasy point of view. I don't write from any of those point of views. It's always raw and kind of real. It has to be like that for me. Otherwise, it just seems pointless. So that's how I write. Just again, it has to kind of hammer home the point to the viewer, where the viewer's like, shit, this is kind of heavy, or this is, kind of deep, and I'm really interested in those kind of visceral kind of reactions in people.
But again, you said like you're desensitized for it, but so am I. I mean, doing this, it's horror all week
Yeah,
long, and you
yeah,
still caught me on the hop. I didn't
yeah.
expect what I was getting. I still came out of it fucked up, and I didn't think there was that many movies left that could do that to me. And I
Yeah.
came out of this shook. You could see that I was shook, and then I was left thinking. I wasn't just kind of like I said earlier. It wasn't just that was a good movie. What's next? It was. Holy shit! That was a movie. That really was a fucking story. That was heavy, and
Yeah, I mean, it's certain techniques, because I don't really prepare for films by watching films, But for this, I did watch some stuff, and I remember watching what was it, the Mike Flanagan Haunting of Hill House, and that kind of caught me because what I really liked about that is because he stripped away music, and that really gave me the idea in this, and I had to hold my hands up and say, I definitely got the ideas from him, but to strip away the soundtrack I made, and kind of so we don't know what's coming. I remember watching Hereditary, the Ari Aster film, and hating it. I thought it was so boring. But then a few years later, I thought, I'm going to buy it for cheap and just try again. And I loved it. I thought it was amazing. But the thing is, it was the lead up in it. Something's going to happen because of the ominous music. So I was thinking, what about if I strip the music out so the audience just don't know what's going to happen next? And that's kind of Mike Flanagan's technique in The Haunting of Hill House. And it works. It worked for me anyway. It got me off guard.
Well, yeah, you've just answered a question that I didn't even realize I wanted to ask. To be honest with you, the scares, the jump scares in the movie are extremely effective. That's the fucking reason why. There's no music, there's no sound, there's no warning.
That's
it's
right.
just bam in your face, and then it's gone as quick as it was there. And
Yeah.
it does leave you kind of going shit. I mean, again, I watched it with my partner Amy, and I haven't seen her jump that much in a long, long, long time.
Wow. Okay.
She was hopping out of in every time there was a jump scare. Corina, Kate is under constant pressure, but you never go full melodrama with it. How conscious were you of restraint instead of letting it rip? Because screaming constantly is easy. Suffering quietly, that's scary.
That's a really good question. I think that's kind of where when I first read the script, when Martin gave it to me, that's kind of how I imagined it the whole time. We did have a few rehearsals, didn't we, Martin? And when we did try a few different things and like some lines that aren't in it now. And it was just, we watched it back and it was just like, it just doesn't feel right for her to be loud like that. Like she's broken. She's not, she's treading on eggshells. Like there's so much fear that she's hiding. And, and she's constantly thinking, what's he going to do now? And it was just, I think if you was in a real life scenario, you're not going to be shouting at the person you're frightened of. You're not going to be, you're trying to get through each day. So I think it was more effective, in my opinion, if you were watching it, or it's certainly like how when I've seen things and I've felt, more affected by it is when it's like less is more. Like what's you're wondering what's going on in the scene rather than being told everything. It's just like, you're watching each of their moves, like you're watching their faces, and you're just what is actually about to happen. Is anything going to happen? Like, is she in trouble? And that was kind of what I was going for in it. And it's really difficult to know how it's going to come across once it's done, because you know what you're going for in the scene, but you don't know if the audience are going to see it in the same way that you're trying to do it. So some of the reviews have come back, and it's been a relief actually to be like, oh, okay, that did come across. That's good. We did that right. That's good. So yeah.
No, you felt very real. Like it felt like I was watching a real thing play out in front of me. It didn't feel I didn't feel like I was watching an actor acting out something for me. You felt genuine, you felt real, you felt like someone I had met before, someone I knew before, someone who had went through this. It was like you said, if you were running around screaming and stuff like that, it would have played out more like a horror movie, whereas this felt very visceral and real, and
Yeah,
that control helped it, you know.
yeah, and I think that
And
was the idea of being it. The idea is it for it to be uncomfortable, not oh they're screaming again, or there's blood everywhere, or they're punching each other, or it's just not. It's just not what we was going for at all.
and it's not what happens in real life, to be
No,
honest.
exactly.
The way you played it is what happens to real people every day, and that's
Yeah, and I think with that as well, that's how you'd end up being in a relationship potentially for longer with somebody, because you're not necessarily knowing that you are being abused or taken advantage of or manipulated. You don't recognize it straight away because they're not physically hurting you. So it's the red flags kind of go on, like sweep under the carpet a little bit for a very long time until it's too late. You're in it, and it's been years, and look where you are now. And
yeah, you've invested the time and energy into the
yeah,
relationship. You're not just going to give up on it day one. And to your point, he's never physically abusive towards you, really. The whole movie, it's all very psychologically abusive towards you.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
he's insulting you. He's putting you down. He's making fun of you. That kind of stuff. But he never actually, that I can remember off the top of my head, he never hits you. He
No, no,
grabs you once or twice, but he never physically beats you
yeah,
or anything in the movie.
yeah.
Um, and Martin, how did you push for intensity without crossing into this feels illegal territory?
As in what? Sorry.
How did you push for intensity without crossing into this feels a little illegal territory? You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to sort of push it into Pasolini territory like Sala or something, but I really didn't think about that. That's a good question. I didn't think about that at all. Yeah, it's really difficult to answer this about giving anything away, and I can't really. Yeah, there was a point where yeah, I was wrestling with this point in the film and thinking, yeah, should it go further for a bit longer? I was thinking, no, it shouldn't. I was worried about this one part in film, but apart from that, no, it's not really. It doesn't really go into that territory. Maybe the next film would, but it doesn't really go into that territory. It stays within the confines, I suppose you could say. You know, but yeah, it wasn't going for anything like, I don't know, Tom Six or something like that. It wasn't going for that kind of thing. And one thing I hate is shock. For the sake of shock, I hate that. I just think it's rubbish. Everything has to have a point. Even Pasolini's Salo had a point. So yeah, I'm not really. Maybe the next film may wander into those territories, possibly, but who knows? But this one stayed within the confines while being violent when it needs to be violent, not for the sake of being violent, and the gore when it actually means it's meant to be there. So everything's in its rightful place. How I wanted this film, and I'm so happy the way it turned out. I like that.
And when you were writing Kate, what mattered more? Was it her vulnerability, her strength, or how much the audience could project themselves onto her?
It's like an amalgamation of both of those. In one sort of thing, 1 minute she's kind of, it's like the chameleon thing, it depends what situation she's in, and, to suit her kind of background. And 1 minute she behaves like this, with Chris because he's so evil and horrible, and next minute she changes, and and without giving anything away again, 'cause it's really difficult, this film, to actually scoot round and not really, give any spoilers. But yeah, she's got so many different sides to her, like three-dimensional, and what she sort of does. So she's a kind of, she could be a superhero. You could put her in Watchmen, or you can put her in something. You could take her out of this and put her in a Marvel or DC thing as a character, because there's so much going on there. where she could look after herself, but she can't, and she's vulnerable, but she isn't. So there's lots of kind of antithesis going on within her personality, and I find that fascinating. Yeah, that Kate's not just confined to a psychological horror film, and I think that's the power of the character. When I kind of wrote that, I didn't write her just to be in a horror film. It was more than that. The versatility was more than that.
And Corina, then after that, how much of Kate came from the page and how much showed up once you were actually in it, when you were wearing her skin? Do you know how much of the character came out from your own performance rather than what you were just reading?
I don't even know how to answer that. That's tough because, like I said, we did have a couple of rehearsals, but that wasn't really. That was just sort of trying to figure out how the scene should look, and we played around with some lines and got rid of some stuff, and then we had like phone calls and should we do this, should we do that, and that went on for months, to be honest. But when we actually got to filming it, I don't know, because I knew Gary, who played Chris, from years and years ago, so I felt although I didn't know him well, I already knew him, so that I felt quite comfortable with him. So I think by the time we were there and filming, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I feel like I need to hear your question again.
I suppose what I'm asking is, what kind of influence? How was it straight? Did you take the character straight from the script, or did you have some outside influences to how you were going to play Kate, how you were going to become this character, how you were going to, I suppose, get inside her skin?
Well, kind of. I mean, it's obviously the same with Martin. I know people that have been in relationships with people that are very manipulative. And when you're an outsider looking in, it's very obvious to that person that that's happening to them. It's not obvious to the person that it's happening to. So I suppose I took a lot from those kinds of scenarios and thought about specific people that I knew, some of them being family members and things like that, and sort of taking on maybe some of their mannerisms, if you like, or just their vulnerability, or their what do I mean, like almost like sometimes like oblivious to it as well, like what, how are you not seeing what everybody else is seeing, or why have you let them do that? And it's easy when you're on the outside, but when you're in it and they have a whole life with this person, and they've they rely on them, or they need them for something, or perhaps they're looking after them as well as being unkind to them, same as sort of Kate. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it came more when we were filming. I think the rehearsals helped, but when we were there and we were doing it, and it was like we'd started, it all sort of, I don't know, just homed in. It became like really, I can't explain it really.
It sucks. It sucks that every last one of us can say that we understand the experience and have seen this in the real world. It's almost like it's become so normalized that you could have pulled that character from anywhere, because there is so much examples of domestic abuse around everybody in everyday life, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just it was so easy to be in it at the time, and I don't even know what it was, or I don't know whether it was the lighting, or just because when you set up the scene and then it's like this is their house now, and I'm not, I don't know why it was like I felt genuinely afraid of Chris in the scene, but obviously Gary in real life is just a massive teddy bear, like he's just not like that at all. But I think I don't know, I think it just became I just felt it in the room at the time, and it just flowed. And it was, from Gary as well. Like, I couldn't have picked a better person to have been Chris, really, because not I could have, but it couldn't have been a better person. I couldn't think of anybody else that would have done that well enough for me to be able to do what I was doing. I needed somebody strong opposite with me to be able to
good dance
allow
partner.
me to do it. Yeah. That's right. Bit of rambling, but I got there.
How quickly did creative trust form between the both of you? Because I mean, was it like instant chemistry or slow? We survived enough together that we trust each other. That kind of a bond, because nothing builds trust like shared trauma, and this movie is fucking trauma. So I mean, did that trust come quickly? Were you able to work with each other really easily? Was the whole process?
What, me and Gary?
No, you and Martin.
Yeah. Oh, and Martin. Oh, yeah. Is that a question for me?
Both of you.
Yeah, I'll let Martin carry. I've rambled too much.
I've known Corina for 15 years, I think, or since 2011. So let's get my maths right. It's terrible.
No, we don't know my age. Something like
that. So and when I first started films, Corina was on my first film. It was like half a music video, half a very short film. And so all through them years, she's been in a few films that I've done. And I think, straight up, I kind of got on with Corina straight away, and the trust was built straight away. So it's going back a long, long, long way. So, and when it comes to doing my first professional sound film, I really wanted Corina in it. Sorry, I got cramped really badly here for some reason. It's really fucking hurting me. Fuck, I knew it would happen. I know. Let me put my leg out. Oh my God, I'm fucking pain. So I built a lot of trust over that sort of time. We built a lot of trust together and just get on really well. And Corina's just completely opposite from the characters that she plays. Just really funny, really warm person. And I think that when she plays stuff, she can invest so many different angles of her talent into doing stuff. That's the kind of key. And I kind of wanted to get to a point, because I've been doing professional sound films for only 7 years. And I was thinking, I really want to do some film with Corina. And me and Nikolai, who works on my films, who's the DOP and he's the editor, he said the same. He said the same, and he was asking me over time, and I was like, Corina's not available. But when she was, and she was around, I was like, this would be amazing to do something. And he knew it was going to be great from the off, not obviously giving Corina a big header. But he knew it was going to be great from the off because she was in it. I knew it was going to be great from the off because she was in it. I knew it just couldn't fail. It's impossible. And, I really mean that from the heart, And when she introduced me to Gary, I wasn't sure at first because I'd not worked with him before. But then things started to kind of happen, and it was amazing. Yeah, the way he was doing stuff, and their chemistry together was brilliant. And Gemma Thompson I'd never worked with, and she was brilliant. So, and Stephen Atkins and Kathy Griffiths as well. But coming back to Corina, all over that time, I was kind of waiting for that film, that one film that I knew was going to be the one, and was going to get Corina finally out to the public so they can see how talented she is. And so this is it for me. Yeah, this film is that first film where she's out there to the public and they're giving back the love, and words like incredible and stuff like that, which are just totally words that, are completely well-deserved for Corina and stuff, for what she does. And so many people say that to me, that she's great, and why hasn't she done something with you that's the better script or a better sound or a bigger film or more production value? And I was thinking, it's coming. It will just take some years. And it's come, it's here. And she's, the performance of her life, it's amazing. So, and I hope that can go on. I hope Corina's like, just going to do one film and like, that's it, I'll see you later. Because her talent is Yeah, it is amazing. There was one night, sorry to ramble on about this, but there was one night, maybe in 2019, I was at a friend's place, staying at a friend's place in Oswald Street in North Wales, and I played him my new film, and he liked it. But he said, "Play me some older films you've got." So I played him Afterglow with Corina, which is not a professional sound film, and I played him some other films I'd done. And he said, "You can forget all the other films. This is the person." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "This is the best actor out of everybody." I said, "Why did you say that though?" He said, "Because she's real." He said, "All the others are just acting it." He said, "This person's actually real. You know, you can feel it, and this is the person that I think is the one." And I said, "Well, I know that. It's just you know, but she's not around, so you know, so I can't. We can't film, but she always wants to film." So I've watched her grow over all that time. I've watched her grow in roles, and she's always just gone straight headfirst into roles, and you know, really professional. I'm not putting down anybody else that I work with and saying they're not, because they are, but she's just gone further because that's just her style. I'd say that's her style of acting. That's how she does things. Um, and she should be, yeah, she should be. She's a star in my eyes, but she should be big, as in earning a lot of money, Hollywood, all these sort of things. You know, it's there. She's got that talent. I haven't, but she's got that. So you know, and I believe that she could go on and do that, and that would make me happy.
I'm definitely expecting to see her in more.
I'd be really
I
happy
think
if
her
that
performance
happened. You
was
know, I'm proud of
brilliant.
her anyway, and I'm proud of everybody on the film. You know, everybody, cast and crew, every single person. But you know, Karina helped me with a lot of the script as well, which people don't normally do that. They just leave you to it. But it's like that caring. She cares a lot. So she's like, you know, what about if we do this with this line? And she gave me loads of suggestions. So there was a lot of like collaborative stuff for the first time ever on a film, you know. And I think that that's really interesting. That it just shows that a person cares that much. And it's yeah, and it's worth it. So yeah, the trust thing was. Sorry to digress and go on about it, but it goes back a long way, you know. So I pretty yeah trusted her just from the day I kind of met her. I thought, yeah, this is the person, you know. She wasn't even
Your
acting on the first
muse.
day. Yeah, she was like sitting in this kind of nuclear bunker. But I kind of looked at all the people in the room and thought, that's the person. It was like a sixth sense. I thought, I don't know why, but there's something there. And I was right, you know, because she was the person out of that room that was the real actor. So I kind of chose right, really. And it's just, yeah, it's lucky meeting people who I met other people through and stuff like that. You know, if I didn't work with this one guy, I would never have met Karina, and this would never be happening. So it's just connections along the way, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. Karina, what does a director have to do to make you feel safe going into those darker places, or are you well able for it? Are you a horror fan at heart? Are you hoping to do more horror work? Was the darker places, was it an easy place to fit in for you?
It was actually, in a way. I mean, I don't want to say I'm like traumatized in real life or anything, but it's one of those ones that I don't want to say I find it easy, but I feel like I don't know, can be frightened like easily. I know what it feels like to be frightened. So maybe that's why I enjoy that kind of thing. I do love comedies as well. I just haven't done those for a long time, and for some reason people look at my face and think, nah, she deserves to cry. And I don't get that sort of thing. But yeah, like in terms of working with a director, and I would have to be really careful now, I think, just because I have worked with people in the past who are like, have been either unprofessional or just not really caring about, you know, the cast and the crew and things like that. And it is really important when you're doing something like that, where you're putting someone in a position where they've got to really get into a weird headspace to take care of them. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
definitely felt like that on this film. There wasn't even a worry. Like I knew I knew it would be fine. I think it helped as well with the small cast and the small crew, and everybody was so nice, and just you just felt really looked after, and it wasn't even a problem. Whereas in the past it has been like, what is going on here? Like, what? Like, I feel like I'm going off the rails in real life. Whereas here it was just very much just on the screen. Yeah, I'm all right. I mean, there was like one scene I think maybe where I had a slight cry afterwards for about 10 seconds, and then it was just like, yeah, I'm good. It's fine.
Which is funny, because I was just about to ask, was there any scene you had to mentally prepare for in advance?
Yeah.
One that hit you sideways on the day that was just, whew, this is tough.
Yeah, there was the beginning scenes, and one scene that was cut actually as well, which I was gutted about, because I was like, that is the only one where I like ripped my heart out to do, and we didn't use it. And I think it wasn't really necessary, that scene, but also I was wearing a coat and it was messing with the sound, and it was just, there was a couple of things that it was just better to scrap it. But I think that was the scene that I got torn up to do, and felt generally so upset, and then we didn't use it, and I was like, oh. But yeah, I'm over it now.
Martin, was there a moment you looked at the schedule and the budget and the universe and thought, oh, I may fuck this? I mean, every director has that moment. It's just whether you want to admit it or not. Or was it all smooth sailing for you guys?
You definitely did that. Don't lie, you did.
Every single time I make a fucking film, yeah, the schedule and budget is the most haunting part. Yeah, that's the disturbing part for me. Not necessarily the film itself, but well, because the last film stepped up a bit and it won some awards and it done quite well. We've done really well for a film of mine anyway. I wanted to go further, step up the ambition, some more money. So that took time. But yeah, it was worth it. The schedule, we kind of jiggled around with it, but it was tight. We always we work like a kind of army. So there's no real sit down lunch. Everybody kind of eats on the go, and the next scene starts when the other one's just closed. And so we work like really fast, the way we do it, just to pack so much in, because we don't do 10 hours a day. We do like 6 hours. I think we done like maybe 1 hour extra one day. I can't remember, but for what we do, I mean, it's like a week of 12 till 6. That's what that was. I think there was one day we did a night scene up till 8 o'clock. But apart from that, they're quite short. They're like half days. But we work in such a way that everybody's so rehearsed. Everybody was ready for this, and you choose the right actors, once you've got that kind of army of actors in place, they're just going to go and just be amazing. And they were just absolutely phenomenal. And I think that the schedule always terrifies me. The budget, like even on the next film, I don't even know I'm going to find the money, so I've not started writing it for that reason.
Still broke from one.
Yeah, there has to be some money there, or some promise of money. So I've got this fantasy file I've done on my computer where it's like £500 one month, £100 one month, and it builds up. But it's I want to get to that stage. I want to film again. It's an addiction. It's it's a healthy addiction, and it's something that I don't want to stop until it has to stop, kind of thing. So fuck it. I want to do it as long as I can do it, really. But yeah.
How you've gone sometimes. You were like, no, I'd never want to do this again. And then you're like, oh, so I'm writing something new. And
Don't tell everybody. This is the public.
Don't worry about it. I have to do like 5 or 6 podcasts a week, and at least 2 or 3 times a week I slam the laptop down and I'm like, I'm fucking done. I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. So I 100% understand.
She's right though. Yeah, she's right actually. She's very right. Yeah.
But then, I mean, like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because like the UK indie horror scene doesn't have the Hollywood money. But also, when you don't have the Hollywood big budget limitations, it can sometimes help the movie because you don't have producers on your back or standards of practices telling you what you can and can't do. So nothing sharpens creativity like being broke.
Yeah.
I mean, is it? Do you think? Would you prefer to stay on the indie scene, or is big budget like the dream? Is that where you want to go? Do you want to be a Hollywood director, or do you like the? Are you in it for the art or the money? I think I'm asking here.
Yeah, I don't know. Money's not everything, but I mean, you know, from 1982 when I was 12, I come from my favorite music's metal since I was a 12-year-old. So for me, Motorhead always been my favorite band, and their song
I love Motorhead.
The Chase is better than the catch. So that definitely is synonymous with your question. And I think Gene Simmons at Kiss said, what did he say? You know, you want a good chase after money, but I think something like once you get it, you're bored. It's like, what do you do with it? So he's right in that way. Chase is better than the catch. It's like you're hungry when you're chasing, but once you've got it, it's like, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to move on to? And I think the more kind of resources I've got, the more rubbish the films would be. It's less is more, you know. I like working with less. I like working for the money and just going out and doing a day job, which I do each day, and just that dream in my mind of the film at the end of it. And that's the way I work, you know. And I think Hollywood people editing my film the wrong way or telling me I can't do things, I'd be chucked out of Hollywood in a second, you know. I just, you know, they'd probably call the police, you know. So for me, I wouldn't be interested in those idiots. I'm sorry to say that, but because I don't like the kind of politics of Hollywood. I don't like what I've heard about those people, and I'd rather be working with people like Nikolai and, you know, on films. And that's the way we like to work. And if there's a break somewhere. But I'm really suspicious about all that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And careful. I'm very careful. And I'm like 56 in a couple of months. So I'm kind of at that age where I'm like, it's like you don't give a shit. I'm just like, I feel like when I was 19, I've got that kind of fuck you attitude. And I suppose that's a good thing to have now, you know, when you're doing these films. Because, you know, it's... I don't want someone running away with my film, you know, because it means a lot to me at the end of the day. So
your story you're trying to tell, so it makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, it means a lot to me, and the cast and crew and everybody that work on them, they all mean a lot to me. So, you know, and I don't really want people drafting in actors that I don't really know and negotiations. I just can't be bothered. I'd rather go and work a day job for hardly any money and just be happy, you know, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Corina, does working indie change how you approach a role compared to bigger productions, or is it all one and the same for you? Acting job is an acting job.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever really been in a big... I've never been in anything really big to be able to say...
Not yet.
No, I mean, I've done lots of stage stuff, so obviously that's different, but... No, I think I forgot your question again. You need to be really simple with your questions.
I talk fast too. I sometimes I talk a little bit too fast too. It's an Irish thing. We just speed talk. I suppose you kind of answered the question there anyway, so there's no real worries.
I'm not always this stupid.
When you're talking as well then about the artistic side of things, how much of making this film was artistic flow and how much of it was pure logistical panic? Do you know, how often are you looking at your bank account and going, shit, that scene's got to be cut? Do you know, or do you wait until the money is there and just go with the artistic flow?
No, because things are worked out differently than that, you know. But I mean, Nikolai is a great teacher. So because he worked with Lars von Trier, because he's Danish, originally he was working with Lars early on in Nikolai's career, I mean, early on in Lars's career. So he knows so much about film, and he's still teaching me the right way, you know, and he teaches me a lot about scripts and how to write scripts, and we've been through all that. And It's amazing. He's a hard teacher, which I like. You know, I don't want someone to pat me on the back. I want someone just to scream and shout at me, and that's the only way you're going to learn properly. You know,
Yeah.
and I prefer that kind of way of learning. And yeah, when it comes to money, when it comes to how we're going to do this, we can only do this. We can't do two things. We can only do one thing. We got to cut one thing out. All that negotiation we go through, and I've got to know it pretty well over the last few years. And yeah, I mean, it can cause, you know, obviously disagreements and stuff like that between us, but he's a phenomenal teacher because, and he continues to be that kind of person. So all those things we go through, and there is stuff that I'd like to have done, but there wasn't the money there. You know, if there was 5 grand more, I could have done that. But again, this film, I just think it works how it works. A few of the reviewers said there should be more backstory on Kate and Chris, but for me, it's, yeah, you know, there's enough there for me. Other than, I don't really want to go into a whole EastEnders episode of Kate and Chris and
Yeah.
their past or anything. It's like we show the audience what they need to, you know, see, kind of thing. We establish stuff that happens and then move on to the present day, and I wanted to do that, you know.
Well, I think that works better because obviously, like I said earlier, we all know a Corina and Chris, and if you give them backstory, it makes them individuals as opposed to putting these two characters in the place of
Yeah.
so many people we already know and have seen this story play out in real life.
Yeah.
You know, so it brings it home to you a bit more.
Yeah,
so that was definitely the right
exactly.
decision.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so Kate, I was about to call you Kate. Karina,
You're really called Kate Corina. What you just said.
did Kate follow you home at all, or were you able to just shut the door on it when the shooting wrapped? Like some characters linger like bad spirits, but were you able to just, when you were done with this, were you able to just be like, okay, Kate's finished now, or did you have the blues coming home every now and again after shooting?
No, it was she didn't follow me home. It was okay. It was that I think I don't know if it's because a few years back I played somebody in the same sort of person really, and that was really tough back then. I don't know whether that has helped me now be able to handle that kind of character, or if it was just working with the right people. But no, I didn't really. Only like I said, only for like a little bit, maybe after some scenes, but it was really quickly gone. It was fine again. I think because we'd practiced it and we didn't have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. I think the more times I did the scene, the worse it would get. But because we'd already had a go at a lot of this, we knew sort of we knew how it was meant to look, and it was only really figuring out where the camera was going to be, which is what made us do it, you know, more than once perhaps. But otherwise, yeah, I didn't have to, because I think if I lingered on some of those scenes, I mean, like there's one at the beginning that we actually filmed first. I think if I'd have filmed that at the end, then it'd have been a lot harder. But because that was the first scene we did, it was almost like it softened the blow straight away, because it was it's a hard scene, but it didn't give me time to, you know, if I'd done it at the end, I think I'd have had all that built up, like I don't know, stress and pressure that thing could have been really horrible to have done. But actually, it was okay. I just went out the room, had a minute, went back in, filmed it again. Yeah, it was, but otherwise it was all right. I had my music with me sometimes to just zone out, but otherwise, yeah, was back in the room again pretty quickly.
Okay. What was the music? I'm curious now. What's the music that chill you out after all that?
Just to chill me out afterwards.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't afterwards. It was maybe like before, to try and, because you can hear everyone talking and it's really distracting when you're about to go into a scene and they're all like laughing about something and you want to be like, shut up, I'm trying to be upset. So
the most depressing rock music you could find, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, just something that I just couldn't hear anybody. But no, afterwards, I didn't know. I was just no, I wasn't listening to anything afterwards.
And I suppose similar question for you, Martin. Once the film was done, was there any part of it that still sat heavy with you? Like, this says something about me and I don't know how I feel about it kind of way?
Not really, no, because it was an ongoing process until it was finished. Maybe when it was finished, I can look back like that in hindsight and think about it. But once it's on the go, you're continuously thinking about ideas how to change things as you go through the process of the filming. But no, not really, not really. I don't really think like that, I suppose. But I suppose a lot of the characters in the films are kind of based on me as well, or the way I feel psychologically about things. Like, especially the main characters are based on that, whether they're male or female, they're based on the way I see the world, possibly. Yeah. So I'm kind of writing about myself inadvertently. Maybe that's the case. So maybe it's like a self-help or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't really. It doesn't bother me like that for some reason. Yeah. I just go home and yeah, I'm excited, if anything, to get back in and just do more and start working with, different elements and, because every different part of the film, because we had prosthetics for the first time. So I think working with that was a new thing for me. So once I got into that kind of thing, yeah, it was exciting. It was nerve-wracking to see if it was going to work or not. So there was a lot of anxiety over that, I suppose, a little bit. But once it did, you kind of thought, I'll get more of that next time, put more money into that next time. But yeah, they don't follow me home, at all.
It might be as well. Like I was thinking as you were speaking, Martin, maybe because it was so low budget, and you've got to take on almost more roles than you would if it was a big production. That
Yeah,
actually so much to think about, other than
yeah,
just the one thing that you're not just director, you're director, writer. Like I know there's people there for like continuity, but everybody was looking
yeah,
out for that kind of thing,
exactly.
and you're almost like thinking constantly, like, how does it look? Was that right? Does that? And I think that's mainly what if I was going home thinking of anything, it would be, was that scene right? Not, I'm really sad that that's just happened. It
So
was,
you're
it
too
was
busy.
Yeah,
more.
Basically, you were too busy working to have any feelings about
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Had
the
feelings in
content.
the moment, and then afterwards, very much thinking about those feelings. Like, was that right? Did that look? And I did there was only one scene where poor Nikolai, I was like, I said, I stopped halfway through because I didn't like what I was doing, because I felt like wasn't doing it right. That I was just like, no, I felt like I acted that. I wasn't in the room. I was just pretending. So I was like, can I do it again? And luckily they let me do it again. It felt like it just felt so wrong. But those are the only bits where I want to look back at it and believe myself, and that's a really hard thing to do. So yeah, without being like, oh God, I hate I've done that. That's awful. God, I can't believe that's on screen.
Actually,
But
funny enough, leads right into my next question. When you did watch the finished film, what moment hit you hardest seeing yourself on screen? Do you know, that out of body, who is that kind of feeling? Do you know?
it,
Was there a moment like that?
yeah, there was, and it was the one that was, like I say, I was the one I was just talking about when I don't know if I can't, I don't know how to explain without
Oh,
giving
don't.
it away. With the
Yeah,
room was white. Um, it was like very near the beginning. And it was the first time where you see how Chris is treating Kate.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and that to do that scene, I think because there was a lot of stopping, starting, different like angles and stuff. Yeah, I found it tough in a way, because just because there was basically a lot of elements to it. But watching it back all together, that's the scene that made me feel most uncomfortable. And it was weird because I was there. Like, it wasn't like, obviously I didn't feel the way that I'm feeling now I'm watching it. So that was strange to see that and to think, how have I felt? I wonder how the audience feel if I feel like that. I know me and I know Gary, and I know that how we filmed this, but actually the finished scene was just giving me the creeps. It was just like, I was so uncomfortable, but it was me. So it was really strange.
It's really funny, that scene. I was still in denial about what I was watching because I was still kind of convinced that I was going to start seeing ghosts pop up left, right, and center. And it was my partner that turned around and she was like, "That Gary, he's trouble. He's the real bad guy in this movie." And I was like, nah, maybe he's just having a bad day. It's just showing a bit of tension. You know the way ghosts can cause tension in the house. And I was like, it's all the ghosts. Don't worry about it. And I was wrong. Martin's kind of similar question as well. Is there a scene that still makes your stomach tight? Even knowing it works doesn't make it any easier, do you know?
I think I have to agree with Corina, that bit at the beginning, without giving anything away. Yeah, because it is uncomfortable for people to watch. And it was a late call in the kind of editing of the script to change it. And I was thinking, okay, this will be a really full-on idea to put this in. So I must admit, contrary to what I did say earlier, I did want to put something in there that was, going to take the carpet from underneath the audience, really, and was going to be a bit, pushing the envelope slightly, you could say. And that scene for me does it, because it goes quite far where it's like, God, are they still doing this? This is too much. And I think that's the uncomfortable part about it. And that's why it's really creepy and horrible, compared to the so-called violent or gory scenes in the film. I think that scene itself is quite intense. Yeah,
it was hard. Yeah, it was tough to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, 1 minute you're watching the two of you dance around your new house together, and then next minute you're sitting on the stairs crying, and I'm going, "What the fuck is after happening here? How did we get from them dancing in the hallway to her crying and him sitting in the bed reading a book?" I was like, "This is, it's intense."
Because that time jump there, obviously from past present, but yeah, it's just how things change over maybe a year, a couple of years, and stuff like that. So I think we're led into the story about this is the way things are, and then the whole thing opens up and the film becomes apparent quite early on what's going on and where the characters are going, and what their kind of dynamics are. But again, the carpet being taken from underneath the audience is something I wanted to do with this film in many, many different scenes, and it happens quite well. And it's not just the kind of jumps that are unexpected. There's a lot of changes in the character dynamics that are unexpected as well for me, and so that's done its job really well. Yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Horror fans are detailed obsessed goblins. This movie is still fresh. Not a lot of people have had the pleasure, if that's the right word, we'll go with it though, pleasure of watching it. From the people who have gotten to watch the pre-release screener, are there things you're still waiting for people to notice, like little details you feel might have went over people's heads?
Well, like mistakes or
They might notice any.
Shit, I better not say anything. Not really. What's confused me about the reviews is, I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but no one's really picked up on the music. People said that it's devoid of music or there's less music, which is actually not true, because if you look at the soundtrack, I mean, it took me a year to make the soundtrack. It took me 6 months to make the Lizzie Head soundtrack. Oh no, so I scrapped it. I thought it was rubbish. So I redid it, but I stripped away. There is a lot of stuff that's not on there, and a lot of tracks that are purposely not been made. But there's lots of music on there. And I studied lots of music. I studied lots of Ligeti, especially Atmospheres by Ligeti, to get that choir sound. When Corina's in the park and you hear this choir. So I kind of studied all this, how to play it on a garage band on a keyboard, and developed this smudging technique with my finger around the voices, so I could smudge the voices into reverb. And I worked with that for about 2 months. And finally, I started playing the voices other than smudging them. So I was smudging and playing with my fingers at the same time. So creating this, like, I don't know, creating this virtual choir. And it was amazing. So all that stuff, I think people miss when they, with the film. They seem to think, oh, there's not much music, but it's actually not true at all. And there's some, it's the best music I've done, personally speaking, is on that film, and it sounds great. It sounds powerful. And there's a lot of different moods on it, very heavy moods. There's a lot of kind of almost classical stuff on there in a way. So yeah, but the reviewers have missed that. Bless them.
To a point you made earlier, though, you kind of stated yourself earlier that there isn't a lot of music in it I see it as a strength that there's not a lot of this kind of typical horror music on it. The psycho we that crap isn't happening.
Yeah.
And that disarms you. So when something does jump out in front of your face, you're not expecting it. You're not prepared for it. You're not ready for the jump. You're not bracing yourself.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I mean, okay, I shouldn't have said that really. So basically, no, what a wanker I am. Sorry. So basically,
Agreed.
it's like there's loads of music on the film, but there's not lots of music on the film. So it kind of works like that, where it's a very rich soundtrack. I mean, the actual soundtrack's like 27 songs. A lot of them not in the film as well, but.
It seems like
It's just certain. I know I'm digging myself deeper. So a lot of the jumps, all the jumps haven't got music. They've just got this high pitched sound which kind of gets the audience. But a lot of it has got music. If you listen to the background, it's got that David Lynch sort of Eraserhead hum. It's like a freezer fucking or fridge hum that I created on a keyboard. And that's when Kate's on the stairs, you can hear that. So you can hear this in the background. And it's not the freezer of the place we were filming in. It's not that. It's actually, it's not that. We took that off. But it's because I'm really into the David Lynch Eraserhead soundtrack. It was, I really wanted that industrial droney hum that's ominous in the background,
I think a lot of horrors miss that, man. I think a lot of horrors miss that idea of using sound as a weapon as well. I mean, my favorite movie is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
I said one thing about that movie is it's not just the violence in the movie, it's the look of it looks scary. The sound is used to terrify you. It's not music, it's sound. It's attacking you with noise at times, and it gives you an unsettled feeling. So, I mean, I look at it similar to that. Where people might be looking for music in the terms of an actual song, you're using atmosphere music. You're bringing on an atmosphere, a soundtrack.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I love that film as well so much, and when they go into the house and with Leatherface with the metal door, when he shuts that metal door, it sounds so like horrifying. The sound of that metal door, it sounds more horrifying than anything else pretty much in the film because the music comes off that metal door. If you listen to the sound design, the minute it shuts, the music feels like it's coming at you from that door and what's going on the other side of that door, what he's pulled the guy into. So it's a frightening kind of feeling, that kind of stuff. So, but what a film that is. That's fucking so funny.
All-time favorite. I think it is the greatest horror movie ever made. 50 years down the road, and it's still perfect.
It's a genius film,
Corina, what kind of audience reaction makes all this worth it? Silence, discomfort, someone staring at a wall in self-reflection afterwards? I mean, what do you want people to take away from this movie?
I don't know. I certainly don't want them to be like overjoyed, but I don't know. I kind of think it's one of those ones. I can't think if it's one that anyone would ever want to watch again on purpose and be like, I feel like watching Beyond Mamushi tonight. That'd be fun. Beyond, like who's going to do that again? But no, I don't know. I think if anything, it's more I suppose if there was like a lesson to be learned in it, or some understanding to be learned in it, would be, you could, these are the sort of things that you could recognize if somebody or yourself was in a similar situation to this is what it actually looks like. You're looking at it now. Is this similar to something that you're aware of, like someone going through it, or even yourself? Like, that would be maybe the only thing that I can think of that I would want to get out of it. That maybe, could it help somebody? I don't know. It would be good if it could help somebody.
It certainly played that way. To me, anyway, personally, it played that way. That's how I felt coming out of that movie. It really, really felt like someone was teaching me a lesson. Like I said to my partner, I was like, it felt like someone walked up and just punched the toxic masculinity right out of me. So I mean, it was fucking mission accomplished. And I suppose what do this film tells people about you as a filmmaker?
Was that me or Corina? Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't hear your question because I was too busy nearly interrupting. What was it again?
Sorry, no, it's all right. I shouldn't. It's your interview. I shouldn't be interrupting you. I usually try my hardest not to do it. It's really hard with Zoom though sometimes to not step all over each other. I suppose what I was asking, Martin, is what do you, kind of following on from that question, what do you hope this film tells people about you as a filmmaker?
That's a difficult question. I don't know, really. I mean, I haven't really thought about that. I suppose I want people to learn from it and take a lot away from this film, definitely, For me as a filmmaker, I never see it in that way. I know, I'm sorry. I never see it that way. I never think about myself as a filmmaker. I just make films, I suppose. I know it might sound weird, that,
I get it.
Yeah,
I reckon what you want out of it more so, Martin, is that your films are getting better. That's probably what you want trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that people. Yeah,
am I getting better at
he's putting some effort in finally.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I suppose people can see that it's getting more intense, and I always want to make a horror film that hits the right buttons of people, and this seems like so far that it really is doing that. So for me, it is like a mission accomplished for a filmmaker in that sense, where the last film was a dark comedy or dramedy or whatever you call it, and that did the same, but it got a lot more negative criticism so far, the last film, compared to this film. This film's got a lot more praise so far, which is, I weren't expecting that. And yeah, I mean, I just don't know how people see me as a filmmaker. I never sit down and I never had those sort of discussions with people, and never read about stuff like, if it ever is written about me. But I don't know, maybe if there's anything, they could just see that I've stepped up further with this film, and the ambition stepped up further. The writing's got better. Everything's got better, whether it be the acting, the soundtrack, or the effects, cinematography. Everything stepped up. So I think that's really important. Even though Nikolai is, in my mind, is a genius. In all of our minds, he is a genius. He is a great guy. He's amazing. But even he would step up again on the next film and do something he hasn't done before. So he's progressing, and him with the sound people, they're all the really most professional people on the films. Corina's next. I'm at the bottom, probably. But still, it's like, everything's stepped up. And hopefully, if I do a film and it doesn't do that, then I'll be worried. And I'll think about pulling the film to that extreme. And I'll be like, I can't go through with finishing the film, because it doesn't feel the same. It hasn't got the same hunger and ambition to it. I don't think this film's going to go anywhere. So the minute I've got them feelings, I know I'm onto something, So hopefully people would notice that this is, this goes places that, I know it might sound pretentious, a lot of other horror films don't go into. And I think for me, if people notice that, that's a really big compliment.
Well, I was actually literally about to say to you, For me, to see you, what I think of you as a filmmaker is uncompromising, an
Yeah,
uncompromising storyteller, someone
yeah,
who is going to give it to you good, bad, and ugly. You know,
yeah.
you're not gonna pull any punches.
You're not going to pull any punches, and I'm not making films digestible for audiences, in any way whatsoever. I'm literally, from the beginning, all I wanted to do is make films so I could take them home, put them on my telly, put the lights off, and just watch them and enjoy what I've made. And it still stands. It's just because it's stepped up to such a higher level now of kind of the actors and, the crew, and it's more money and it's different, but I've still got that same thing in my mind where I want to get the film home, watch it, and get that buzz. When you first watch it, it's nothing like watching your film when it comes through from editing. There's nothing to beat that. It's just, it's an emotional moment. It's like this is it. You can see all that work in front of your very eyes, and I think I've cried a couple of times on my older films because it gets to you, it hits you, and I'm not really a crying person, but it hits you like a hammer, and that's why I want to keep doing it for that reason. So
That creative buzz, I understand
yeah,
it. You get an adrenaline rush through it. I
you
mean,
do.
it wouldn't be one of my shows if I didn't bring up our listeners know that I always bring up professional wrestling because I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. And
Okay,
for a brief period of time, I was a professional wrestler. So I
right,
do understand that idea of cutting a really good promo
yeah,
and having a really good match and then having to wait for the fucker to air on
yeah,
pay-per-view so I can watch it and see how it looked and get the
yeah.
same buzz as hitting the right notes and hitting the right points and getting everything across the way you want it to come across and being happy with
Yeah,
the product.
it's exactly the same. Apart from this, though, where I'd watch it just for you and Karina and think, who is that fucking dick? Who's like meant to be like a filmmaker who's talking, and because I can't watch myself, it's just really horrible. So I think that it's the same with all the podcasts. Having Karina talking is brilliant. Because the first time she's done this, and I'm really proud of her doing this. It's actually brilliant, and I'd watch it for you guys, not for me. I'd be like just trying to just put a little block over. I'll put some tape over my on my iPad so I haven't got to look at me. But I'm just like that. It's what no one really likes kind of watching or listening to themselves. And I think that I don't really understand why, but that's kind of me. So I used to act in my films in the early days, but I purposely took myself out of that because I thought it ruined the films. I didn't want to see me anymore. I
Oh.
wanted to see. Oh no, honestly, I'm being really serious. I wanted to see all the people acting, and I think when you go into a room and you hear those first words being spoken by actors from your script, that's that first big buzz where they're bringing it off the paper, and they're making it all happen in the room, and they're creating these characters in the room in front of you. That's just unreal, yeah. And to me, that's the beauty of it all, really.
Well, you're more humble than I am because I love
Thank
watching
you.
myself on camera.
Some people, I mean, great if people do, but I can't do that. Yeah, I just barely look at myself in pictures, really. But you go.
So when it comes to Beyond Mamushi, what does it represent for your career? Is this like because this is a bigger movie, you kind of said. You can see that in the way it's shot, the camera's clearly a high quality camera. The acting is high quality.
Yeah.
Is this a beginning, a statement, or a warning shot to everybody that you're coming to get us?
I think it's a beginning, but I don't like to keep saying that. It's like I'm going down the bottom of my own ladder that I've set for myself, really. Well, I like to be at least halfway up it.
Beginning
So
work standard, Martin. Perhaps that's what it is.
yeah, it's kind of like you turn corners, don't you? So when I first started off, maybe I've done a few films, and then you turn a corner where the scripts get better, the acting gets better, then you turn another corner. And I think with Lizzie Head, that turned the recent corner of winning awards, and it's like shit, this is amazing, and Beyond Mamushi, it's turned probably the next corner where it's gone into this maturity thing of making films. The subject matter's really intense and a subject matter. No one really wants to touch that subject, and we got it right. We got it right. It's a touchy subject to write about, and you either do it well or you don't do it well at all. And I know that we did it really, really well. So I think that turns the corner for this film. So it's like this could lead on to the next film, but I want to do a horror film next. I don't really want to go back into comedy because I just think horror is so much fun to write, and there's so much more avenues to work with. Comedy is good, but I just find it a bit limited now. And I was going to do it, but I'm not. I don't think I'm going to. I want to go somewhere further than Beyond Mamushi, especially somewhere more extreme than that. And who knows? I hope there is another film.
The beauty of horror, though, is that it does hit all those subgenres at the same time, doesn't it? If you want to do comedy, there's comedy horror. If you want to do a drama, there's drama horror.
This is the running joke between me and Corina. Sorry to interrupt you. This is the running joke because if you flip, maybe I shouldn't say this, Corina.
No.
Maybe I shouldn't tell him this because the thing, if I say this, then it might flip the audience on their back when it comes to their appreciation of this film. But fuck it, I'm going to say it anyway. Who cares?
Oh, right.
So if me and Karina's running joke is, and this is actually quite true, if you flip the script, it could be a comedy. Now, I know you might not think this, but if you look at it, me and Karina got quite dark humour, so maybe that's what it is. But there's a lot in that script where, not all of it, don't get me wrong, but you can flip the script and there's some stuff in there where we were just making up stuff all the time and it was fucking hilarious.
Saying lines to each other, but in a completely different value.
It's like, if this only was a comedy, this could be just, I was like, yeah, it could be devastating. It was like amazing. But it wasn't. But so there is stuff in there and I can't think about that stuff because I just start laughing when I watch the film for real again. Especially as a premiere coming up, and I'll just sit there laughing and thinking this could have been funny, So I think that looking at it that way, it is true though. I think the most extreme film can have an antithesis to it, where it could be funny. But there's obviously a lot in this film, as you know, Josh, that is just not funny. A majority of it.
Not a funny movie.
It's not a funny movie.
Furthest thing from a comedy I've watched.
It's not a comedy. But there's parts in it, maybe even like the breakfast table part with the dad. There's parts there that could be just comedy gold, There's bits of that, but we didn't do it. And there's bits that are left in there that no one else would know, but me and Corina, maybe Gary might know. The audience would never know. You would never know. I'm not going to tell you, Josh, because it's going to spoil it. But there's bits where they're looking at each other in that, and it looks like it's almost a comedy to a point. So when you watch it again and you watch that bit, you can kind of tell where we're going with that, really.
And there was bits that we were just like, I mean, when I was rehearsing it, like, or learning my lines, like with my husband, and the amount of times that he said one of the lines in a different way, and it just made the whole scene different, and it was just hilarious. Like I was like, I'm never going to learn my lines if I'm learning it like this because it's just a complete joke the whole time. Or like he completely ruined one of the characters.
Well, they do say comedy and horror kind of go hand in hand. I mean, it's the same kind of natural response, the surprise response that gets both the horror fans going and the comedy fans going, the surprise joke or the surprise jump. So they are pretty much cousins to each other almost in style. Like you say, the smallest little change to a scene can turn something from extremely dark into extremely funny very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But you did a great job of keeping it fucking grim. So I suppose coming up near the end, I mean, how soon are you hoping to get this out to the general public? Yeah, like traumatize the masses instead of us innocent here.
I don't know, because it's difficult, especially as it 50. Well, everybody keeps saying 50 minutes, but it's actually 5 seconds short of that. But because it's festivals, you can't put it out. and this is the difficult thing, submitted it to festivals, so it can't be on Amazon Prime. Lizzie Head, the last film I did, is on Amazon Prime. And this film possibly, yeah, I'd say 99% will be on Amazon Prime. But it won't be till late next year. So I think that the festival thing has to go on for, it's normally 2 years, possibly 2.5. So that's what it's going to be. Yeah. So actually putting it out, yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult to do that. I'd like to put it on a general release as a featurette. It'd be amazing to do it, but I think I just want to see how it goes in festivals and just go from there. But I suppose people are saying the release date is the 4 weeks from today, which is the premiere day. But it's the premiere day. It's not really a release day, but I suppose it is
Not a
played
wider.
to the public. Yeah, so I suppose that's what they're saying, and I understand that. But so it's played to the public, but then it kind of just goes into festivals or wherever it goes. It's going to be an interesting thing to see how festivals view this as well. Obviously, there's a lot more. I'm going to just keep sending it to reviewers and just seeing how far I can get the film around, really, until it starts to get reviews, which it has been a few times already. People say, "Oh, it's not really my thing. I haven't got time." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." You just have to keep moving on,
Yeah.
and finding good people like yourself and people that want to review it, and even better, people that like yourself that like it, that it's made a difference, and that makes a difference to us. I always refer to us, not just me, because the film's a collective. It's not
Yeah.
just my film; it's all of our film. Um, and it's made an impression on you, and that means a lot. Yeah, that's a great sort of thing. So hopefully that can carry on. Um, but making a feature film, it's a lot of money, and I'd rather put the production value into something 50 minutes, and whether I'm throwing away a feature, I don't really care, I want to just do what I want to do. Anyway, that's what it is. So
Awesome. Do you have anything lined up next? Or do either of you have anything lined up next? What's next on the agenda for you? Acting wise, movie making wise?
Marina's going to Hollywood, clearly. So
No,
Well deserved.
I'm doing like little bits and pieces at the minute just for fun, like mainly, but nothing serious at the moment. I've got two children, so it's tough as well. Like to, you to put yourself out there. You kind of just, it was easier when Martin, because he just was like, "Do you want to do this film?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." But to go and put yourself out there, it takes a lot of time and effort, and someone's got to be here for them as well. So
I 100% get it. I got two little guys myself.
exactly, yeah, it's a bit tied down a little bit.
Yeah. So where can people find you on socials to stay up to date with Beyond Mamushi and your careers going forward?
on the Instagram, it's the Beyond Mamushi film and the MW Daniels films, but the Beyond Mamushi film is the main thing on Instagram. That's all I'm kind of using, really. I'm not using Facebook for it, and just using that, and it's doing well so far, so that's the only one. Yeah, that's the only one. And then the premiere, which is at the Luminaire in where is it now, in Romford, and that's the 28th of February, coming up. Yeah, which is 2 till 5. So it's two films. Our friend Samantha's film, which is Forget Me Not, which Nikolai, who works on my film, also worked on that film. And then she does a talk on stage with Michael Fausti, a friend of mine, a director, horror director. And then my film, Beyond Mamushi, or our film, and then a talk with me. And that's when the audience will start to leave, all right, after about 5 minutes. So there's a talk with me, and then that's it. Yeah. So it should be interesting to see those films, and none of us have seen Samantha's film yet, so it's 10 minutes. So her film, she said her film's like the starter, so I said, yeah, my film's like the food poisoning of the festival. So it's going to kind of work like that. But yeah, to see all that on a big screen for the first time with a good surround sound system, that'd be pretty exciting, and just to feel what the people are feeling around you. What's their reaction? Do they like it? And so this should be interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. And Corina, are you on socials? I couldn't find you on Instagram. I tried earlier on so I could send you a link.
Yes, I am, but Jane is my middle name, so I'm not under that one. So I really should make a new one, I think, to separate a little bit, because it's just pictures of my kids and my
So it's a
standard
personal
life.
account, not a
Yeah, it's
business
a personal account that I wouldn't really put out there. So I probably should make another one.
Look, thanks, guys. This has been great. I really, really enjoyed talking to you today. I wish you nothing but the best with Beyond Mamushi and the premiere.
Thank you so much.
And if this is just the beginning, I can't wait to see what the future holds for both of you.
I hope so.
Rejection.
I am sure you're going to do all right. You were.
We're so positive, aren't we? We're so positive, you know.
But I mean, your acting in that movie was top level, top notch. I mean, to the point where I did question whether I was like, "Is this an indie movie?" The camera looks really high quality, and she's a very good actor. So I mean, am I watching an indie movie, or is it just a short, or what? But I mean, I think you have a very, very good future ahead of you. Definitely, 100%. And I can't wait to see you more. That was M.W. Daniels and Corina Jayne. I hope you liked the interview. I had some fun there. I hope everybody else had as much fun as I did. We will keep you updated on when this gets a wider release, where you can see it, when you can see it. We will keep you updated as time goes by. I'm hoping to do a lot more of these. I'm having fun with it.
I can tell you are.
Yeah. For now, you can go check out my reviews on my new show, Real Talk with the Doctor, and that is on Sundays on Patreon, on the free subscription at the Horrorverse Network on Patreon. Go check it out. We will be back next week with more tales from the Horrorverse. We'll see you all then. Same live time, same Horrorverse channel. Okay, love ya. Bye-bye.